Today we are going to continue to solve multi-step equations. We're going to add a couple of steps to these, but it is very similar to what you guys did last week. So we are going to begin with example 1. So in example 1, this looks very difficult, but it is not. So what it is saying is that we have 4x plus 1 divided by 2 equals 6. So when we're doing algebra, we don't think of this as a fraction bar. We think of it as division to make it a little bit easier to understand. So in high school, we write division as this bar here. It is a fraction, which is also the same as division. So if this is saying 4x plus 1 divided by 2, we're going to undo this division by multiplying. So if this says divided by 2, I need to multiply 2. Just like we did last time, anything that happens on the left side of the border has to also happen on the right. So if we multiplied 2 on the left, we are going to multiply 2 on the right. So multiplication and division will cancel each other out, leaving you with just 4x plus 1 equals. The right side, 6 times 2 is 12. So now we have a very easy two-step equation, which is exactly what you did all last week. So this plus 1, we would move it by subtracting 1. We always move the constant first. That's the number that's by itself. So that leaves me with 4x equals 11. So my very last step is that we have a 4 times x. To undo that multiplication, we need to divide by 4, leaving me with a 1x. And if I do divide 4 on the left, I need to divide 4 on the right. So my answer is 11 over 4, which does not reduce. So in Algebra 1, we just keep it an improper fraction since it did not reduce. So go ahead and try the same thing for example 2, where it says try it in this example. So now we're moving into example 2. In example 2, it looks very difficult, but it is not bad at all. We're going to make it a little bit bigger so we have lots of space to solve. Okay, example 2. So just as always, we're going to begin by drawing a border. So what we do when we're solving is we have to get rid of parentheses first, or else this is not going to work. So I'm going to get rid of parentheses by distributing the outside number to both terms. That negative 2 is going to distribute. So negative 2 times 3x is negative 6x. Negative 2 times a positive 1 is a minus 2. So we do the same thing. We have parentheses over here as well. So we also need to distribute this number to both terms. So this number, though, we have to be very careful. We take the sign, so that's a negative 3, and we send it to both of our terms. So negative 3 times 4 is negative 12x. Negative 3 times negative 2 is a positive 6. And then on the right side, it says equals 40. So on this left-hand side, we now have some like terms that we need to clean up. So in the very first week of school, we talked about combining like terms. So I took my x's. If I have negative 6x's and minus 12x's, that means that I have a total of negative 18x's. I do the same with my constants. So if I have a negative 2 and a positive 6, I can put those together, and that gives me the number positive 4. On the right side, it says equals 40. So just as we did before, we now made that a 1 step here and a two-step. So we're going to do our two-step equation rules, which means we're going to start by moving the number to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 4 and subtract 4. 4 minus 4 is 0, so that makes that term go away, leaving me with negative 18x equals 40 minus 4 is 36. As always, our last step is to divide. This is saying negative 18 times x equals 36. So we need to undo multiplication by dividing the exact number, which was a negative 18 on the left, and a negative 18 on the right as well. Negative 18 over negative 18 is 1x. 36 divided by negative 18 is a negative 2. Lots of steps, but the same idea. So we started by distributing our parentheses. Then we combined like terms. And then we had a two-step equation, which was very easy to solve for our final answer. So go ahead and try the same thing in the try it for example 2. Okay, so now we have one more example to look at, which is very similar to example 2. We have an equal sign, so it's an equation, and we have x's that we are solving for. So just like before, we always begin by drawing our border. To get rid of parentheses, we need to always distribute first. So we take the number that was in front of the parentheses and we multiply it to both terms inside. So 1/4 of 12 is the same as saying 12 divided by 4. 12 divided by 4 is the number 3. There's an x with that 12, so we put an x there. 1/4 times 4 is the same as saying 4 divided by 4, which is just the number 1. If you struggle with multiplying fractions, you can use your calculator, and it will allow you to press Control Divide, and you can type the 1/4 times 12 in your calculator, and it would tell you that that would make a 3. So we're doing the same thing to get rid of this fraction. So this time we have a negative 1/2 of 10. So half of 10 is the number 5, and then my negative makes it a negative 5x. Yep. And then we have a negative 1/2 x, so half of 8 is the number 4. So negative times a negative is a positive, so that gives me positive 4. And that equals the number 25. So now we got rid of parentheses. Again, if you struggled with those fractions, just use Control Divide, and then you can multiply the fraction and get that whole number. So now we need to clean this up. So on this side of the border, on the left, we have a lot of things going on here. So we're first going to find our x's, and we're going to combine them. So 3x's minus 2x's, that's not right, 3x's minus 5x's is the number negative 2. So that's going to be negative 2x's. Then I have a positive 1 and a positive 4. 1 plus 4 is the number 5. On the right side is a 25. So again, we simplified the left side of the border by distributing first, and then we combine our like terms. So now our last step, as always, very easy two-step equation. So I can subtract 5 from both sides. So that leaves me with a negative 2x equals 20. Last step, we need to get x by itself. So we're going to divide by the exact number that was in front, which is a negative 2. 20 divided by negative 2 is the number negative 10. Okay, so now go ahead and try the try it for example 3.